You're okay. Shh.
Okay, we're on.
All right.
So let us start.
Okay.
Yep.
Or we will wait. What is the best?
Yeah, let's start.
What do you think?
I say we start.
Okay, Siri just emailed me, so I'm going to invite her one more time.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully she'll get it.
Good.
So who is ready to answer the question number one? Very difficult.
Hold on. I think Siri might.
Well, about Guatemala. It's a very difficult question. I think so. Assume for Guatemala that the domestic price of coffee without international trade is higher than the world price of coffee. This suggests that
D.
D.
Other countries.
Other countries have a comparative advantage over Guatemala. In this case, in production case, in this case, the Guatemala will import coffee.
Yep, that's what I got.
Because the prices in Guatemala will be higher than in other countries. And in the world.
Am I late? Where are you guys at?
So Siri, you're just getting started, and we decided that number one is D.
Perfect. Me too.
Okay.
Hello?
Awesome. So number two, suppose the nation of Canada forbids international trade. In Canada, you can obtain a hockey stick by trading 5 baseball bats. In other countries, you can obtain a hockey stick by trading 8 baseball bats. These facts indicate that I put A.
Oh. So we need to calculate in this case. We need to calculate the comparative advantage.
Well, for the comparative advantage, I did that calculation. The comparative advantage, Canada has it for hockey sticks, but the other countries have it for baseball bats.
Yeah, but we don't do anything with an absolute advantage, so that's why I went with A.
Absolute advantage will have Canada in nothing, but ours have absolute advantage in bets only.
Yes, but Canada doesn't have the comparative advantage in baseball bats either.
Canada would have comparative advantage in...
They'd have comparative advantage in the hockey sticks, but not the baseball bats.
In sticks.
So I think it's A, but I don't know.
Absolutely.
I could be really wrong.
Yeah. I said A or B, so but what you say about absolute advantage makes sense. So I'm thinking it's A as well.
Well, if you want, I don't know if we can see it, but I have the simulation about for this one. I don't know.
What was your answer, Russell?
Where there is comparative advantage first, it's absolute advantage where Canada and ours have the equal concerning sticks, but ours have absolute advantage in bets. At the same time, Canada will have the comparative advantage in sticks, and others have comparative advantage in bets.
Okay, so did you get it?
Agree or not? I agree.
I think it's C. Doesn't Canada have a comparative advantage relative to other countries in producing baseball bats?
No, they have it in hockey sticks. The other countries have it in baseball bats.
We need to calculate the sticks in bats and bats in sticks.
So for Canada, it only cost them 5 bats to make 1 stick, but for the other countries, it cost them 8. So isn't that?
So Canada would have the comparative advantage in hockey sticks, but that's not an option.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I got you. You're right.
You're right.
Yeah, I had it backwards.
Question number 2. No, there's the same question actually. Patterns of trade among nations are primarily determined by what? Comparative advantage. It's according to the textbook.
Yeah. So what do we think 2 is? What did we decide on?
I think it's one of those agree to disagree because I still think it's A.
All right, we'll just move on. So we'll just everybody decide on their own on that one. I think it's A too, but I don't know.
What? Number 4 or another?
Okay, so number 2, you're on your own. Number 3, I think we decided was C. Does everybody decide that 3 is C?
Yeah. About question number 4?
Okay, so we're on 4.
After a country goes from disallowing trade in coffee with other countries to allowing trade in coffee with other countries, what should become? The domestic price of coffee will equal to the world's price of coffee.
That's what I got to see.
Yeah.
What'd you girls get?
Well, I thought on the examples in the video, like if there has been no trade and then they start to allow trade, generally the domestic price drops, I thought.
I thought it was D. That doesn't matter. Oh, but okay, I see where I got that wrong.
No, D is wrong answer.
No, D's wrong. I wasn't thinking.
I think it's C because when they jump into trade, that's how they decide if they import or export, is whether the world prices are lower.
World prices.
And so when they go into trade, their price automatically changes to the world price.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I can see that. That happened here when the local farmers started exporting hay. We were paying like $150 a ton for hay, and then they started exporting, and our price went up to what they're getting on the global market, which was like $180 a ton.
Oh man!
When you're feeding goats, that's a lot of money for hay.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so 4 is C.
4C, 5. Are you ready?
I got B on 5.
Peaches in the United States is $40 per bushel. The world price of peaches is $52 per bushel. The US is a price taker, so it should take the prices from the world market. Yeah, in the market for peaches. So what will become?
They will export the peaches.
Yeah, that's what I got.
What is the answer?
Export.
B.
B.
Absolutely B. You're right.
Okay, perfect.
Number 6. Trade enhances the economic well-being of a nation in the sense that.
I put C.
C. Yeah? Trade results in an increase in total surplus.
It always rises no matter what.
Yes, absolutely. It's what is a total surplus? It's producers and consumers. Total surplus should increase.
So even though oftentimes the producer's surplus falls, the consumer surplus offsets that, and it all rises.
In this case.
Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a really good chart of it on the PowerPoint that made a lot of sense to me. You guys saw that.
Question number 7.
Ah, there you go. See how it rises at the bottom of both?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Good call. Okay, 7.
What we see in this chart?
I put consumers will gain and producers will lose.
The world price is lower when the domestic price.
Yeah,
I got A too.
So consumers will gain and producers will lose. Why? Because we lose the
We're importing
part of this of their advantage. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're on to 8.
Consumers will gain, but producers will lose. Well, it's quite simple, actually. You can check it in the textbook, probably. Question number 8. When a country allows trade and become an exporter of a good, which of the following is not a consequence?
Well, I put the gains of domestic producers
Of the good?
of the good exceed the losses
Absolutely.
of domestic consumers.
Domestic consumers are the good. Yeah.
So D.
Yeah.
It was C or D, but I wasn't sure on that one. So D sounds good to me.
Yeah, I wasn't confident in that one either.
Because in the example it showed in the video, the domestic producers usually lost, and the domestic consumers got the advantage with the lower price. So anyway, I think D's the correct answer for.
So the right answer is number D, because really the gain of domestic producers, yeah, should be more, should be exceed the loss of domestic.
Yeah, because they're exporting. Okay, that makes sense.
Greater than the loss of domestic consumers.
Okay.
So in this
Wait,
case,
so
it will.
D as in dog.
Okay.
Question number 9. Can you calculate that sum?
Yep, this one you just find the area of a triangle. So I got 900.
Yeah, I got 900 too.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Is that what you got, Rustlin?
My answer is number 1. How can we calculate producer surplus? What we need to do? We need to do to calculate the square of the triangle.
That little triangle is a producer surplus, and you just have to find the area of it.
Which is before coordinates on vertical, before 2 and 8 by vertical axis, and before between 0 and 300 on horizontal axis.
Okay, so we're good with 900 on 9?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it would be the producer surplus. So the right answer is 900.
Yes.
Yep.
Number 8. Because how can we calculate the square of a triangle? We should multiply. I'm sorry. 300 and 8 minus 2 and 6. 306.
Yep.
300 times 6 will get 1,800 and divided by 2.
Perfect.
It's
Okay.
It's a standard formula for calculating the square of the triangles.
Yeah, and you do the same thing on number 10. On number 10, I got B. What'd you guys get?
I got B also.
Yeah. Big.
Number 10?
Yep.
Number 10. Without trade, consumer surplus is without trade. Where consumer surplus? It's a big triangle.
Yep.
Yep. $845.
Which figures? 130 on horizontal axis, yeah, and between 28 and 15. 28 minus 15 will get 13, and 13 times 130 and divide by 2 and over 2 will get, I calculated before, I got 1,690.
Did you divide it by 2?
Yeah, we divided by 2. Without consumers, without trade. Without trade, it's from 13 to 28 on vertical axis, and from 0 to 130 on horizontal axis. Apply and divide it by 2. Check it.
You understand that one, Rustlin?
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I need to check it. So let us check it, please.
I think it's 845 because if you take the 1690 and divide it, you get 845.
Yeah. Maybe you're right. Maybe I was wrong. 130.
You just have to remember to cut it in half.
So I have a question on 11, if we can move on to that one.
845. I just calculated it. 845.
Okay,
The
good.
right answer, 845. B. Yeah, perfect. Question number 11.
What's your question on that one, Siri?
So I'm pretty sure I calculated the consumer surplus correctly, but on the producer surplus, My numbers weren't coming out right. So how did you guys do that one?
So this is what mine, I just draw on all my graphs, but that's what it looks like. So A is my consumer surplus, and then all the other ones are the producers. And then you have to put it into 2 different triangles and add them together.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
So yeah, I didn't add G into producer surplus. I thought it was everything below the demand line.
We need to calculate the total surplus. The total surplus includes producers and consumers surplus plus extra surplus in the G triangle.
So the G area goes in the producer surplus, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, in that case,
I received 1,370.
Yeah, that's what I got too.
Yeah, the same.
You got what now?
Yeah, 1,870.
Yeah, number C. Yeah.
Okay. I got it. I got you.
Okay, so you're right, probably. Me too. So question number 12. When the country moves from free trade to a trade and to trade and a tariff, consumer surplus decreases by what? Well, but the square of those two triangles, small triangles, which represents the dead weight. So we need to calculate the small triangles before 28 and 20 on horizontal and 28 and 20 on vertical axis. 28 minus 20 will get 8. 8 times 8, 46 over 2, 32. It's the square of the first triangle of the left small triangle, 32, and the square of the right triangle would be 80 minus 64. It would be 16. 16 times 8 over 2. 66. 66 plus 32. No, not 66. 64 plus 32 will get 96. No.
Is that right? 28.
Sorry.
Do you have the areas shaded on your
consumer?
Oh, what number are you guys on?
12.
Aha.
Okay, sorry, I ran away for a second.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so I'm a little bit sloppy on this one.
Oh, I did mine wrong.
Oh, I did too. Holy cow.
Okay, let me look up.
The second answer, B, is right. Well, you can check it by yourself. Decreases by 500%.
So to start, the consumer surplus before the tax is this big one. It goes all the way down to this line and then all the way across and up. And then after the tax, it gets smaller, and the producer surplus takes over this little square.
Mm-hmm.
And then so you calculate for the smaller one and then subtract them.
Yeah.
So you find the area of the big triangle and subtract it from the area of the small triangle to see how much it decreased.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I got B as well on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number B?
Yep.
Yep, on 12.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Also, my previous result is B. When I calculated it yesterday. The question number 13. The nation of Aquilonia has decided to end its policy of not trading with the rest of the world. When it ends its trade restrictions, it discovers that it is importing rice, exporting steel, and neither importing nor exporting teas. We can conclude that producer surplus in Aquilonia is now.
So when it exports an item, the producer surplus gets higher.
In exporting steel.
And when it exports something, the producer surplus gets higher, and when it imports, the producer surplus gets lower. So there's a higher in the steel market and lower in the rice market, and unchanged in the TV.
Unchanged in the TV market, yeah.
So I got A.
A, that's what I got too.
Number A.
Okay.
Question 14. Question 14. No, it's simple. The dead weight loss created by the tariff is represented by the area. No, it's by the area D plus F.
Yep, that's what I got too.
Number B.
Okay.
Or number 2. Question 15. The following diagram shows the domestic demand and domestic supply in the market. In addition, assume that the world price in the market is 400 per unit. 400 per unit. So we need to make a horizontal line.
This is all the drawings I made on my graph last time.
400. No, not 400, 40 per unit. I'm sorry.
The first line is the world price, and the top line is the tariff.
Relative to
Yeah,
the
I got two.
Down the imposition of the tariff. Decrease imports of the good by 30 units and get domestic production. So we need to calculate the squares of two triangles. Yeah, before horizontal lines 40 and 60. 40 and 60. So before 900 and 600, and before 1,800 and 1,500. So 300 from both sides.
I got A.
Yeah, number A. Yeah, I agree. Question 16. The figure illustrates the market for roses in a country. The amount of revenue collected by government from the tariff is, no, it's...
Yep, this one you just have to find the area of this little rectangle.
Okay, I tried doing that on the other problem. So that, how do you decide whether you do the big triangles minus other triangles or the square?
The square is the government revenue.
Okay.
Why is
those
that?
two triangles on both sides? On both sides, it's a dead weight.
Yep, so you don't count the dead weight, which is the triangles, because nobody gets that. But the government revenue is the rectangle because that's what they get from the tariff.
Okay, that makes sense.
The true answer is A, 200.
I got B, 400.
Why?
How do you get B? Put it 200 times 1?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Between
you're right.
400 and 200 is 200. 400 minus 200 is 200 times
Good
1.
catch.
Times 1. Question 17. The General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, ATT, was initiated in response. No, it's the question actually for the citizens of the United States.
It's
but
D.
I find the answer, and which says that the high tariffs imposed during the Great Depression.
Yeah, it's a D on that one.
Yeah. Question 18. The infant industry argument. No, I think so. It's my opinion. What is based on the belief that protecting industries when they are young will pay off later.
Yep, that's what I got too.
Will pay their debts in the future.
Yep.
But,
A.
A. Yep.
Question
Number
18.
19.
19. Sorry. I'm sorry. Question number 19. Which of the following arguments for trade restrictions is often advanced?
That's C.
Oh.
D.
I got D.
Wait, B or D?
National security. National security.
Dog.
I got B as a boy.
US argument. No, I think so. It's according to what I read in the textbook.
What did you get, Ruslan?
Number D. Trade restrictions are sometimes necessary for national security.
Well, yeah,
It's
if you're
one of the main arguments for trade restrictions from producers, from the side of producer. Not from the military officers, but from producers.
in principle, I believe you're correct, but the guy that wrote this book is pretty happy about global government and global economy, and I think his argument is that it increases economic efficiency. I could be wrong though, but that's kind of what I got out of it.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Question number 20 and the last one, yeah? Economists view the fact that Florida grows oranges, Texas palm oil, and California makes wine as what is the confirmation of the virtues of a free trade?
Oh, it's specialization in absolute advantage works.
That's what I got too.
No, because absolute advantage is not the reason for international trade.
But this isn't international. This is between Florida, Texas,
No,
and California.
It's the same question.
But we've got free trade amongst the states, so... Oh, maybe that's a confirmation of virtue of it then.
Opinion, this is the answer number 8.
Okay, I kind of see where A is coming from because that's kind of what the whole chapter's about, right? It's not really, the whole chapter's not about absolute advantage. I get that now.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, I agree with A.
Okay. Any questions on any of them?
So that's all, I suppose, for today.
Yep. Thank you, everybody.
Do you have any questions? I have no.
I'm still confused on 12, but I think your guys' explanation will help me understand it. I'm just going to go back and redo it on my own so I understand it.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
See you later on the next Tuesday, same time.
See you next week. Bye, guys.
Well, have a nice